Hey there, welcome. My name is Jessica Buchanan, and I'm a New York Times bestselling author, professional speaker, and founder of Soul Speak Press, a non traditional publishing company created for women who've been through something, now they know something, and they can teach us something. In Her Words is a podcast designed to support aspiring memoir authors on their writing and publishing journey. It's hard work, this writing and publishing stuff, and I want to empower you with encouragement and information so you can keep sharing your truth. So grab your coffee, your notebook, find a quiet space, and let's dive in. Well, hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of In Her Words. It's just me today. But this is a special day for me. It is Wednesday, October 29th, 2025, and I'm super excited because today is the birth of my new baby, How to Survive Survival, a guide to turning life's hardest moments into meaningful contribution for the world. You guys, I'm gonna get emotional. I might sit here and just cry because I am emotional anyway. Those of you who know me and know me well and still love me because I cry all the time. Um, I honestly can't believe we're here. That I'm here, that I made it to the finish line for this book. It feels like I've been writing it for years. I have been writing it for years, essentially. And the fact that it is all here wrapped up in this beautiful, I have a hardbound, I have a hardcover, I have the paperback, I have the ebook, I'm working on the audiobook still. The fact that it is here in black and white and this beautiful cover that our designer designed for me, it is such a true expression of my heart, my soul, everything that I have learned in the last decade, I have put into this book. And my hope and prayer is that it finds its way to the people who need it the most. And so today I just want to share a little bit with you about the journey. I've talked a little bit about the book and what it's been like to write while I have been coaching and supporting other authors with Soul Speak Press, and then writing myself and speaking. But I want to dive into a little bit more of just the more vulnerable spaces. The part of my heart that is very much in between the front and the back cover of this book. Um, so originally, we had titled it Surviving Survival. Um, and we had a different type of subtitle that was similar, but it was about turning, pain into purpose, essentially. But there is actually another book called Surviving Survival, which is where I talk about this. I give him credit for the concept. This is where I learned about this whole concept of surviving survival. What trauma survivors often experience in the aftermath of their actual, like, surviving of their episode or experience, or whatever the situation is. There is this space of time that can take a really, really long time to sort through, that his name is Lawrence Gonzalez, that he refers to as surviving survival. And I first learned about this when I found his book several years ago. It was an audiobook, and I detail this story in here in How to Survive Survival. I had, I was really struggling in motherhood. I was struggling with my mental health. I was just overwhelmed by anxiety all the time, really dealing with depression, but afraid to admit it and afraid to call it that. And I had just dropped my kids off at preschool one morning, and I was going to go take a walk. And I found Surviving Survival on my audiobook, like Audible, on my phone. And I thought, well, it was The Art and Science of Resilience. I thought, this sounds applicable, right? This sounds like something I need in my life, something I can learn from. And so I downloaded it quickly and started listening. And I'm telling you what, like, I didn't even get all the way through the first chapter. And I was down on my knees in my neighbor's front yard bawling because finally it felt like somebody had put words to what I was experiencing and what I was going through. And it gave me so much validation, and it gave me like a lens from which I could actually see see that what I was experiencing was actually normal and that I wasn't an ungrateful freak, which is pretty much how I would think of myself up until then and refer to myself internally, which is not very nice. Um, and it turns out that it is a psychological response to trauma to be in a space in the aftermath of um, feeling bereft, feeling very alone, feeling isolated, dealing with anxiety and depression because a lot of everybody in the world thinks, oh, you should be so happy. You are free now. You've been rescued. I mean, I'm using my own experience, obviously. And now you have these beautiful kids and you have this beautiful life. And so I would think, why am I not happy? Like, what's wrong with me? And it turns out that there's just so much deep-rooted trauma and then this loss of identity that just cracks you wide open and you don't know who you are anymore. You don't know what you like. You don't know what you want because what you've experienced, that trauma, that traumatic, whether it's a shark attack or being shipwrecked or losing your job or going bankrupt or, unspeakable horrific things that happen to all of us because being a human is so effing hard. And that those things they throw us off kilter, they decenter us, and then we come up to the surface after we've like survived whatever it is that tried to drown us and we're like whew, exhausted and we don't know what to do, where to go, what is home, what is not, who is friendly, who is foe. Our flight or fight is like on high alert and it's a journey. And so I really, really wanted to write this book for the past version of me because I know there are so many people out there, especially right now, where we're at in the current environment. I don't know who listens to this. I don't know where you are, but I think anywhere in the world today, wherever you're at, things feel really heavy. And I really wanted this to write this book and to put this work out into the world because I really do believe that our pain can be an invitation that leads us to our life's purpose. I know that that has been true in my life, and I want to like just kind of reflect a little bit. So this past Saturday, it was October 25th, which is my trauma anniversary. It had been 14 years since the kidnapping, which feels like crazy, right? Because 14 years is so long. And then also it feels like yesterday. I mean, I think lots of people say that about their traumatic experiences. And one of our clients, the episode, if you listened last week, Jillian Lachota, she was leading an anthology, Rising Above. Our journey to wholeness after breast cancer. Beautiful book, wonderful, incredible stories, and strong, resilient warrior women contributing to this book. And so she was having their like book launch party and QA on Saturday, which, is kind of typically a tough day for me. And I was standing there in the audience watching and listening to what these women were saying about their own journeys, their painful, hard won journeys, and their resilience, and what the writing process has been for them, and how it has helped them move into another stage of healing in their journeys, and all the beautiful things that they had to share and say about what they've been through, what they've learned, and what they want to teach us. And I just stood there in awe, not of anything that I've done, but just the fact that this book was possible and this group was able to come together because it literally has been my turning my pain into purpose, creating Soul Speak Press. My mentor, Krista Clive Smith, if you go back in the archives, she was one of my very first interviews. She's such an incredible woman. And she would always ask me, what business do you want to be in? What life do you want to lead? And who are you here to serve? And I know who I'm here to serve now. It took me so long to figure it out. And that's really what I hope this book does for people. There's no hack to healing, there's no shortcut to healing from trauma. Absolutely not. It takes the time it's going to take, no more, no less, which is one of my core messages in this book. But I want people to understand that it is possible to rise. I use this framework rise, reckon with the pain, identify the impact, seek the meaning, and embody the purpose. And Soul Speak Press, I was standing there and just like embodied, totally embodied in my purpose, knowing that it was possible for these women to stand there, to sit there together in plenary and talk about their experience and the lessons that they've learned as they have fought literally for their lives to survive, and thinking like, if if I hadn't figured out how to survive survival for my own self, right? How to turn my life's hardest moments into meaningful contribution, they wouldn't be sitting there with their story in this beautiful book all together in the constellation that it was. Maybe they would in a different way, again, and I'm not, please hear me. My spirit and my soul is not trying to tout my accomplishments. What I'm trying to get across is that our pain, it is an invitation. You need to take the time that you need to take to work through it, and to move through it and to survive it. And it's always going to be there, but it is an invitation to take a deeper look into what is next in terms of like who we are here to serve. What life do we want to lead? What business do we actually want to be in? And I knew, after writing Impossible Odds, and after speaking, and after building a community of women and being in sacred space, holding with women and working through, I talk about how I went through my herbalism phase, and how I really learned how to like listen and repaired my relationship with my intuition, and starting Soul Speak Press with deserts to mountaintops, and what that journey has been like. And now I'm standing here and I'm like, we have helped hundreds of women at this point, and we have an imprint started for men to help them tell their stories who otherwise would never have had the opportunity to do so in the format that we have set up. And it's not for everyone, but for the person that it's for, it is magical. And then I think about the ripple effect. I've just been so like on the negative side, been thinking about the ripple effect, and how so many people are being impacted by what's going on in the world. My life, my personal life, my husband's job, my family is being very affected right now. But then I think about the positive side, right? The positive side of the trickle down effect, that ripple effect of like, okay, we've had thousands of, or not thousands, someday we'll have thousands. We've had hundreds of writers, contribute to these anthologies, not just Deserts to Mountaintops, but The Losses We Keep, Rising Above. We're taking submissions for three other. We've got I'm Still Here. We've got all kinds of opportunities, plus the memoir manifestos that we've released. And then think about all the 10 people that have read that book, and then the 20 people that are going to read it based on that recommendation. And it's just, the trickle down is just so huge. And I couldn't see the big picture when I started Soul Speak Press. I couldn't have known that I was going to get to this place where How to Survive Survival was going to come out. And that I was actually going to have the bandwidth and the time. I swear, I sat in my car for a year during soccer practice and dance practice. I didn't talk to anybody. I walked my kids in or drop them off, and then I would sit with the car running for 3 hours and just hammer out this book. And I had to write it in the cracks and the crevices of my life, but it is here. I'm proud of it. I do believe it is my deepest contribution, because what I want more than anything is for people to understand that your life is going to fall apart at some point, because We're all surviving something. We've survived it or we will. No one escapes the human experience unscathed. But more than anything, I want you to know that it's possible. It's possible to build a beautiful life. It's possible to have something beautiful and to build something out of the wreckage, out of the ash, whatever metaphor you want to use. It takes time. It takes a hell of a lot of work. It takes a lot of introspection and it takes a commitment um, to wanting it um, and to believing that you deserve it. And so I address so many of these themes throughout the book. And not only is it just my journey of surviving survival, I've highlighted 20 other people who I really admire. In this book, my friend Martin Lockett, who changed my life with the phrase, um, things don't always happen for a reason, but that doesn't mean we can't derive purpose from them. I mean, that if that doesn't sum up this book, I don't know what does. My friend Jen Collins, who lost her husband, who had served as one of the America's most elite SEAL Team 6 or Navy SEALs, excuse me, and lost him to suicide because of traumatic brain injury and a whole host of other issues that she has now been able to shed light on because she donated his brain to science. I have a fellow former hostage who was also rescued by SEAL teams in Nairobi, Kenya. She was working for Microsoft when Al-Shabaab, which is an Islamic terrorist group, the Somali Islamic terrorist group, took over the hotel she was staying in, and she was held hostage for 16 hours, and they rescued her. And she worked for Google, so she's just like this majorly smart person. And so as a result, she's created an app for mental health that is like a not a replacement, but it is it's a building bridge to therapy for people who are suffering. I mean, people are incredible, and everybody has the capacity to turn their pain into their passion or into their purpose if they so choose. Not everybody has to do that, but I'm a big believer in it. So, today is, it's a special day for me. I'm recording this a few days ahead of time. When this comes out, perhaps if you're listening to it, I have that immense opportunity to be standing on a stage in front of 800 people in Shreveport, Louisiana, helping to raise awareness and share my story for an organization that works to raise advocacy and support for children who are being abused. Everybody is doing something to make the world, not everybody. There are a lot of people who are working to make the world a better place. There are a lot of people who are trying to wreck that and tear that down too, but they shall remain nameless. Um, but I feel really, really blessed and really grateful to not only have survived 93 days in captivity, but also to have survived the rescue, but to have survived survival. It's a tremendous thing, and not everybody is able to do it. And so I'm just grateful to my husband and my two kids, August and Ebba. I'm grateful to my team here at Soul Speak Press and my close friends, my sister, my best friend Amy, and so many others who are part of my community who have loved me along the way and who have believed in me and who have held me up when I couldn't stand on my own in so many ways. And so with that, I'm going to leave you. I'm going to go sit and cry in the corner by myself because I obviously need it. But I would love it if you listen to this and if you would take a minute to go onto Amazon. For 24 hours, we're discounting the ebook to 99 cents so that you don't have to spend any money. You just have to spend $1. I'd love it if you could do that for the ebook, and you could take the time to leave me a review. And that will help the algorithm push the book out so that other people will be able to see it and get their hands on it who really need it. And I'm just so grateful for all of you who listen, who are listening now, maybe it's your first time. I thank you so much for your continued support of me and your love and how you continue to support Soul Speak Press through listening to this podcast. Oh, and yeah, just super, super grateful. Um, I hope today in your writing time that you can maybe spend some time thinking about how you have survived your own survival. And if you ever feel compelled to share it, we're here to listen and to help you share that with the world. In Her Words is hosted by me, Jessica Buchanan, and is produced by Soul Speak Press, a non-traditional publishing house for women who are ready to tell their story. If you would like to know more about our submission process, I encourage you to check us out at www.soulspeakpress.com or follow us over on Instagram at soulspeakpress. We appreciate all your questions, and if you would like to leave us a review, we would be so grateful.